A 19-year-old arrested for an assault in a city he'd never stepped foot in. Law enforcement experts say San Marcos police failed to take basic investigative steps in this case. The man says police based his arrest almost entirely on a Facebook picture, a case of mistaken identity that left him battling to clear his name. And now, finally, an acknowledgement from the police department. Tonight, the man sharing his story with the KVUE Defenders. Here's senior reporter Tony Plohetsky.
Gosh, I guess I was working for 6 or 7 hours.
Austin Colson had just finished a full day of classes at Sam Houston State and his night job as a Pizza Hut delivery driver.
It was a very long day.
When he headed home around 10:30 on October 4th, 2021.
On my way home was my worst nightmare.
He followed his usual 10-minute route in Montgomery County in the Houston suburbs along FM 1097 through his hometown of Willis before turning onto the quiet 2-lane Coode Cemetery Road. As he entered this intersection, now marked with a stoplight at FM 830, a sheriff's deputy stopped him for failing to make a complete stop.
I saw her turn behind me right here, and then she flipped her lights on.
Colson pulled into this daycare parking lot.
When the cop pulled me over, that was the first time ever being pulled over. Oh, I was scared. I wasn't doing nothing wrong, but I was scared. I mean, my heart was beating.
Less than a mile from home, he thought he'd get a ticket and be on his way within minutes. Instead, a second deputy arrived.
Both walked up to my window and she told me to get out of the car. I was under arrest. I had a warrant out for my arrest for assault with bodily injury. I was like, where did this happen? Where did this assault happen? Her response was Hays County. And I'm like, can you tell me where Hays County is? She's like, I don't know.
Colson spent the next 16 hours in the Montgomery County Jail, confused about how he could possibly be charged with a crime for which he could face up to a year in jail in a city 200 miles away.
Never been there before, and I was stunned by it.
On the day of his release, he and his father began immediately making phone calls, trying to find out what could have possibly led to his arrest.
When you call a town, 3 hours away and you try to talk to their police department, they're not real willing to give information or to talk to you at all.
Dozens of phone calls and weeks later, they finally unraveled what happened. Much of what they discovered in a lawsuit against the city of San Marcos and multiple officers and supervisors from the San Marcos Police Department. According to the lawsuit, a man in San Marcos was the victim of an assault by multiple men in June 2021 outside a bar called Showdown. That man positively identified one of his alleged assailants, and police later arrested and charged that suspect with assault. He happened to be from Colson's hometown.
I haven't seen this guy in 5 years.
The lawsuit claims the assault victim, scrolling through the alleged assailant's social media feeds, saw a picture of Colson and told San Marcos police he'd figured out the identity of the second perpetrator. He gave them the name Austin Colson. The suit alleges that in an effort to place Colson in San Marcos, the lead investigator got incorrect information that Colson was a student at Texas State University. Then they got this arrest warrant that popped up that night when deputies pulled Colson over.
If you want to see a wrong investigation, you look at this case.
Timothy Williams, a national law enforcement expert in Los Angeles who specializes in police procedures and wrongful convictions, said San Marcos police failed to take basic investigative steps before getting a warrant for Colson's arrest, like questioning the suspect.
You got to corroborate what the witness is telling you. And how you corroborate that is you do your independent investigation. Talk to this person, find out where this person was at. Does he or she have an alibi? And you investigate those alibis as well.
Williams says what happens represents a failure of both investigators and supervisors. The city responded to the lawsuit by asking a court to dismiss it. In a statement, The city of San Marcos says, quote, Austin Colson was specifically identified by the assault victim as one of the assailants. It added, quote, after the arrest, the police department received additional information and conducted additional investigation that resulted in the determination that the suspect was incorrectly identified. The statement concluded that, quote, the district attorney's office was promptly contacted and advised the state would facilitate Mr. Colson's seeking and obtaining an expedited expunction, meaning that the case was dropped and his arrest removed from public record.
You would never think something like this would happen to you.
Colson says he believes the San Marcos Police Department should face accountability, and that's the reason he's pursuing a case against the city and several of its officers and supervisors involved in the investigation that led to his wrongful arrest.
It's just totally crazy that this happened to me. I shouldn't have had to prove my innocence, but in this situation, I definitely did.
The KVUE Defenders also reached out to the Hays County Justice of the Peace, Maggie H. Moreno. She's the judge who signed the arrest warrant for Colson that San Marcos police presented to her. Experts say often the first set of checks and balances for the criminal justice system is for judges to make sure police meet their burden for an arrest. Judge Moreno declined to comment. For the KVUE Defenders, I'm Tony Plahetsky, KVUE News.